To go now. Perfect. Okay, so as I said, a little bit on sprains and strains. Mostly, I would do training of health and safety committee members, maybe how to do assessments, how to find where that line in the sand is and say, oh, okay, this is just not an issue of, say, lifting or repetitive motion, but how bad is too bad? I kind of do that kind of training, whether it's office, industrial, construction, mining, everywhere in between. But today, just give you some themes and some examples to kind of wrap your head around the idea of sprains and strains. Why do we see this in the workplace and some tips on what to do. So I read over the abstract that we said, and I'll definitely hit on all those points. All right, so let's begin. All right, first thing, heavy physical work like mining. Years, decades of working on it, shoulders, knees, backs, hands will be sore. It doesn't take an ergonomist to come to you and say, yes, heavy physical work over a long period of time will wear you out. Picture on the right-hand side is an automotive worker. Every 42 seconds, a car is made. So whatever job you have, in this case, engine parts, you got 42 seconds to do it, stand back, next car, and then do it all over again, 8 hours a day. Do people who do repetitive work, even though it's not heavy physical like mining, the tools are easier, the parts are lighter, there's machines to help do the work, but it's very repetitive. Do they get the same kind of injuries? Yes. Different way though. Bottom left-hand corner is an office worker. And Statistics Canada says that office work is light work. Well, do office workers get sore wrists, sore elbows, sore shoulders, sore eyes, headaches, back pain, knee pain? Yes. It has a lot more to do with, I have in the bottom corner, posture, your body position. All right. So in this whole world of sprains and strains, there are different reasons why people get back pain. Back pain is not back pain. There's 80 different parts to the back that can become injured. How it gets injured, the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons, the nerves, the bones, the discs, it happens differently. All right. So it can kind of get kind of complicated, but I'll keep the themes quite general. All right. So if you said to me, Andrew, I do heavy physical work and repetitive all day long, day in and day out, and there's a lot of bad posture, oh, you got my attention. Red flags. Let's see what we can do to make it better. All right. So then the next sort of part to this talk on this slide is what do you do about it? All right. So right now, I will say in my, 25 plus years, it's both the job and awareness of what you're doing and how you're doing it. All right. So the automotive repairer picture. You could do all the training in the world, the person's still going to bend and twist. It's not them in that sense. It's not no safe work procedure, lack of training. Just to be quick here, it's the hood. It's the job. All right. The hood being put on before you're finished putting all the engine parts in forces the person to bend and twist more than they have to. So that's just my quick example of it's the job. The office worker, do you notice how the hand is higher in height than the elbow? You do that for 5, 10 minutes. Who cares? Do that all day long. As the hand is higher in height than the elbow when you're typing, you'll shrug your shoulders. So at the end of the day, this is going to get sore and tight. I wouldn't label it an injury, but you will be cranky, tired. It could aggravate other issues that you're having, give you headaches even. So at the end of the day, you want to have what have you heard about keyboarding in offices? You want to type where your hand is about the same angle as your wrist, not up too far, not down, and about the same height as your elbow. Now, if you look at that picture, you'll see a height adjustable keyboard tray. You have a height adjustable chair, a height adjustable monitor, and the person actually has a footrest. So they have the right equipment and tools. They just don't they just lack the awareness of how to adjust it to fit them better. All right. So I have hundreds of examples of looking at jobs that are tough and hard and what do we have to do to make it better? It's both. Look at the job, can we make it better? But also awareness, education is also a good thing. All right. So there we go. If you want to take some notes down, even though this is being recorded, you can watch it later. First thing is looking at an issue. What is it about the job, but also what awareness and education can I have to go along with it? All right. Now, I like to do a lot of training that's participatory and get interaction, but this virtual stuff doesn't work so much. And I only have an hour. So I'm going to be quick. When it comes to using the mouse, you want to move the mouse mostly with your arm, shoulder muscles, and not so much wrist. Little bit of wrist, little bit of elbow, little bit of arm. Okay, so you want to use those bigger muscle groups versus this. So in the picture, you can see the space for the mouse is very small. So that is forcing the poor worker for 8 hours a day to do just this. All right, so they say, my elbow, my forearm, my wrist. Okay, so obviously from a job perspective, the keyboard tray is not big enough. The space is too small. Fine. You also need the awareness. The awareness that where the worker says, okay, how am I supposed to be using this device called the mouse? More arm motions. Okay, fine. I have the awareness and I see what the root cause is. What do I do about it? And this is the beauty of ergonomics. There's many different options. It all depends on what works for you. So for example, you can buy a keyboard tray that's longer. That way you have more space to move the mouse. You can decide to get a keyboard with no number pad. So for those of you who are trained typers, you put your fingers on F, J, that's your home row. Then you got the cursor, then you got the number pad, then you got the mouse. So already you could kind of see a bit of a bend on the elbow, the wrist, and the shoulder. So for a lot of people, I say, hey, do you ever use the number pad? And they'll say, no, that's fine. You get a cheap keyboard for 25 bucks with no number pad. That effectively gives you more room to move the mouse. Also, you can get rid of the keyboard tray and just put the keyboard mouse on the desk, raise your chair up, get a footrest, and off you go. All right. And actually, there's other options, but that's just an example of awareness, looking at the job, and many options on what to do. Next one. People say, oh, yeah, I'm a healthcare aide or nurse and I'm lifting. So there's a lot of back strain, and I've been taught how to lift properly. So you can see this picture and you can say, well, the back is kind of straight. You're not completely hunching over. It looks like your feet are balanced and you're using your legs. Okay, good. Why is there so much back pain then? I'm trained. I'm doing it right. Well, training works great when it's a box, not a human being. Training works good when it's 10 to 20 pounds, not 80 or 120 or 200 pounds, right? And it's not always lifting, it's kind of sliding, shifting someone, in this case, in the bed. So really, I'm going to assume that you've had some lifting training ever since you were a kid that said, keep your back straight and keep things close to you. So in this picture, you can see where their hands are. They're too far away. So at the end of the day, in this case, the job or the task positions your arms way too far away, putting strain on the back. So there's your awareness, and then there's the job. So the next thing, solutions. Well, if this was a healthcare facility, you would have lifting equipment, Sarah lifts, Hoyer lifts, ceiling track lifts. If this is just you in the home and you're taking care of your parents who are a little less mobile, elderly, I've had to do that a little bit. It's being aware of what you can or can't do and getting help. I've seen people in their own homes get what's called sliders, even pieces or like take garbage bags and they put it underneath in this case, their parent, their loved one, and that helps them slide up and down or to the right or to the left. So in that sense, it kind of helps a little bit. But again, equipment, awareness, training. I've seen people get one leg up on the bed to get closer, slide them over, and then put both feet on the ground and then lift or transfer. So anyways, that's just an example of that. This is also another good example of awareness. Okay, so pressure washer. Maybe most of you have probably used a pressure washer to wash your car. A few minutes later, you're done, off you go. But imagine now this is your job, 2, 3 hours of using a pressure washer straight. A lot of you will say, okay, I'm gripping constant. 2, 3 hours of this duration. The arm kind of goes up a bit, bend the wrist, twist your body. Aha, that's why you're sore. We need to do something about the pressure washer gun. We need to do something about the constant gripping. But I want to now help you look at an ergonomic principle that is look at everything. Okay. Don't get too trapped on the wrist and only look at the wrist in this case. Look at the feet. All right. So when you look at everything, yes, there's the gripping and the posture in the upper body, but look at that left foot. This person tended to start on the right side, kind of like a 1 o'clock position with the left foot facing, and always move to counterclockwise to like the 10 o'clock position. Now I'm going to exaggerate a little bit, but just look at what's doing to the left hip and as it goes up into the shoulder. All right. So there's actually a second issue here. The yellow hose. As you're moving for your 2.5 hours, the cord curls up on its side and it twists. So and now you're moving, and the hose gets caught, and now you get what? A jerky motion in the wrist. So is the problem the constant squeezing, or is it every once in a while moving, jerk, jerk, uh, jerky motion, forceful exertion, whatever words you want to use. If you want to write something down right now, a general idea of doing work at home or in the workplace, movement, smooth. Okay. That's a good word to write down. You want to be smooth in your motions, puts less strain on your shoulders, your back, your knees. So in this case, the hose that curls up puts a jerky motion on the wrist. That adds up. It's like being at the grocery store, pushing a cart full of food. The wheel's a little wobbly and it gets caught on something on the floor. Someone spilled, I don't know, spaghetti, dry spaghetti, pasta, and the wheel gets caught, and all of a sudden you get that quick jerky motion. That's hard on the shoulder. Okay, so smooth motion is kind of what we want to see in work. So I said earlier, the job and awareness. So the connection of the yellow hose to the tool, we provided a 360-degree swivel on the end. So as the worker is moving, the hose is spinning and never curling anymore. It doesn't get caught, it doesn't curl. So that's a job fix to make it less stressful on the wrist. The other side of the coin, the awareness part, is where's your position of your feet? So we tried to train this worker to not go left foot forward and then move. It was right foot and then move across. It's almost, I don't want to use the word dancing, but dancing is very smooth and rhythmic. Work should be smooth and rhythmic as well. So at the end of the day, less strain on the left knee, the left hip, as it went up into the upper back and the neck. All right. So again, just another example of job and awareness of what you're doing, how you're doing it. Office work now. And I kind of make a joke and I say, this person is only smiling in the sense of hurry up and take the picture because my feet, my wrist, my neck is sore. Now, if I had more time and more interaction, I'll ask you why. But for sake of timing, when you're sitting, you do not want the monitor height to be too high. If you're looking at your monitor and the chin is up slightly, lots of strain on the back of your neck. Now, looking at a monitor that's too high for 5 minutes, that balance of a little bit here, a little bit there, versus I'm glued to my chair, I'm looking at a monitor for 8 hours a day, even 4 hours, even 2 hours. You don't want your chin up a little bit. Also, notice with the chair that the backrest is leaning back. Okay, so for those of you that sit or stand for a period of time, you do want to have your ears in line with your shoulders, in line with your hips, so more straight. This picture on the left-hand side of the worker sitting, they're leaning back too far, which puts the head forward as well. So you can see that the shoulder is not in line with the ears and the hips. All right, so you'd want that chair straighter. All right, what else can I show you on that one? Well, the knee height. If you asked me, Andrew, what is the number one fix or change you can make for most office workers? And this is based on 1,000 office assessments in 30 years. Okay. Check that your knee height is about the same height as your hip. If you're sitting, even right now, if your knee height is a little lower and there's a bit of a downward angle from your hip to your knee, it tends to round the back and make your head go forward. All right. Which then goes, I got headaches, my neck hurts. Even if something is going on with your back, it may aggravate your back. And you say, Andrew, I need a new chair. Well, maybe. But first, let's get a footrest. So for everyone listening, if you want to grab a binder, a package of photocopy paper, a book, anything, go buy yourself a footrest. Go put something under your feet. Get the knee up a little bit higher, not too high, but about the same height as your hip. And you will know right away, oh, I'm sitting straighter. I can feel the less tension on my neck. Okay, so that's the number one best thing anyone can try. Now, that being said, we are human beings. We're not robots. Okay, a textbook is just nice. But if that gives you knee pain, hip pain, back pain, please take the footrest away. All right. So for the most part, it should help people. You don't want your feet dangling for sure, but even if your feet are on the floor, but you have that downward angle, you kind of want it up. Now, I will say this. You can have $1,000 chair, the best chair in the world, and you'll still won't sit right, and you'll still have neck back not feel right if your feet are dangling, or if your knee is lower in height than your hip. That's how important it is. All right. So there you go. Now, next, standing. For those that stand, I will say this. Standing is good for a while. Sitting is good for a while. So if you want to write one word down, variety. If a person can do a variety of work in their day or over the course of a week or two or career-wise, that's a good thing for people and your health. Trying to have a variety of things. Okay. Now, that means, Andrew, standing is beautiful. It's the magic cure for everything. Maybe, if it's done right. So in this case, do you remember earlier I kind of made a joke? This person isn't really smiling. They're like, hurry up and take the picture. Because, for one, where the arrow's pointing, the hand is way lower than their elbow, which over time will make you lean forward and you'll put pressure on your wrists. So I've had people that got sit stand workstations. They're like, my knees hurt, my wrists hurt, my neck hurts, my back hurts. Oh, I thought this was supposed to help. So just like in health and safety, workers need to be trained on new pieces of equipment so they do use it properly, whether it's a knife, a CNC machine, or a rivet gun. I'll also say that chairs, sit stand workstations, keyboards, mice, the worker needs to have the awareness of how to set it up properly. So in this case, you want the keyboard to be at the same height as their elbow as well. Too low, you drop your shoulder, you lean forward. Don't want that. Second of all, do not wear high heels or any big heel when you're standing for a period of time. It'll mess up your hips, your back, your neck, and your knees. So whether you have a cushion mat, nice, but also I recommend using a footrest when you're standing. So having your feet shoulder width apart is okay. Standing straight is okay for a while, but being human beings, we will lean forward. So putting your feet shoulder width apart, you will in time lean forward. So that puts strain on your knees, your back, and your hands. And of course, when you lean forward, what are you doing with your neck? So I've had people say, my neck hurts now too. So not for everyone, but if you want to try something, if you have a footrest and you want to stand, put one foot up on the footrest. Not high up like the like on a box, but that slight footrest, just put it up. Now, if you don't have a footrest and you want to try something, if you have an office chair, let's say you're at an office right now, and you have the wheels on the base, it's only about that high. Put your foot up on that. So again, not for everyone, but right away you will go, oh, I'm standing straighter. I feel less pressure on my neck and my back. Okay, so a mat is nice. Using a footrest, one foot up, then the other foot, then both feet together. Variety. Remember that V word? Variety. And there you go. And lastly, the monitor also has to be perfect. Because if the height of the monitor is a little low, so it's at your lip level instead of your eye level, that doesn't sound like much or look like much, but hours of standing and looking, you'll start to lean forward, and then your neck goes forward, and you put weight on your hands and on your knees. So, something else, in my line of work, it's never one major thing, it's a bunch of little things. Okay, why is this person having sore knees, sore hands, sore backs? Keyboard tray could be a little low, monitor could be a little low. You're standing awkwardly for a little bit. And then when you're sitting, you're leaning back a little bit, maybe the knee heights. So always a bunch of little things. So there, write that down, everyone. When you're having aches and pains, it's usually a bunch of little things that add up. Okay, next, resources. So very quickly, you go to our Occupational Health Center website. You will find some ergonomic resources. And most of these, you fill out a little form and we'll send these to you. So these are PDF documents that are free, obviously, that talks about ergonomics. This one is titled Small Business Ergonomic Case Studies. So if you're interested in learning about 32 different case studies of before and after, spot the hazard, assess the risk, pictures of what was the problem, and then moving on to what can you do to make it better, this book is for you. So 32 case studies from, let me back up here, manufacturing, food processing, a hair salon, computer work, a daycare, welding, automotive, and construction. Now, even though you may say, I don't do those things, you will definitely learn a lesson from each one, right? So on the bottom left-hand corner, hazard assessments are not complete without documenting worker experiences. That's a truth. No health and safety investigation is complete. No investigation, assessment, or looking at a job is complete without talking to the workers and getting their thoughts on stuff, because you will miss some things. All right. So anyways, that being said, please have a look at that. The ideas are good. For those that want a little bit more knowledge about ergonomics and what's going on, we have another resource. It's called the Small Workplace Ergonomic Resource Guide. And as the title page shows, questions and answers, how to do hazard identification, forms and checklists, if that's your thing, and resources. The section that people really like is we have a section on 20 common hazards. And why is this a concern? So, for example, number one of 20, forceful exertions. What is it about? Why is this a concern? Bottom right-hand corner, the risk increases when you also have, for example, bad body posture. And then the second page is what can you do about it? And in health and safety, we talk about fixing problems at the source, along the path of the worker, and at the level of the worker. So there's some examples on how to make jobs better. So both from prevention, or you have injuries and you want to have ideas on how to make it better. And again, even though it's occupational related, you could take these ideas and apply it to at home work spot, even if you're not working and you're just looking for ideas to make your life more accommodating, more comfortable, less stressful. There's ideas in there as well. Okay. Another resource for you, accommodations. So for those that are looking for ideas on how to accommodate injuries, pain, um, all you know is shoulder hurts, back hurts. There's some restrictions, maybe. Maybe you have that from a healthcare professional. This document is for you. All right. Solutions for effective return to work. And it has, for example, low back injuries, or you have a low back, yeah, you have a low back injury. Here's 3 common principles that you should apply to keep strain off the back. And then it has ideas. If you have back pain and you sit a lot, here's some ideas. Stand a lot, here's some ideas. Maybe you have a job that has vibration or jarring motions. What can you do? You have a job that has reaching and stooping. Maybe you're not lifting, but your back hurts because you're reaching and stooping. Here's some ideas. And then there's another one on your typical lifting, lowering, pushing, pulling, carrying, and such. All right. So there's a section on backs, a section on necks, shoulders, hands, legs. Okay. So that's kind of a popular one because it's kind of thin. It's not a big one, nice and thin, but it gets right to the point. Very helpful. Okay. And then there's another one on case studies, before and after case studies, just like small business. But this one is focusing on an aged workforce. Now I could talk for 4 hours on this topic, but I'll leave you with this. Before someone says, "Oh, it's me, I'm getting older," I say, "Whoa, wait, look at the job first." If I can prove to you that it's the job, then it's not you. If I, for example, come in, look at the job and go, "Ooh, oh, I don't think it's a job. Maybe you have a health condition or an issue that's chronic, that's aggravated by work, not necessarily caused work, but aggravated. That's a different story." So again, before you say, "Oh, it must be me, I'm getting older." No, 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 no. Look at the job first, do what's called an assessment, see if there's anything in there that you can make better. Because I don't really care whether you're 22 or 52. If it's the job, it's the job. All right. So there's 40 case studies in there of a wide range of perspectives. And I would say if you can't fall asleep tonight, go read it. But no, this is exciting. This is good. You're going to like this. Oh, that's what you want to do. If you have sleep problems, go download the Act and the regulations. Start reading the Workplace Safety and Health Act. That'll put you to sleep. There you go. There's my joke for the day. So here's an example. Again, it's under that safe work banner, spot the hazard, assess the risk, find a safer way every day. And this one is on blind spots. So all of you here have had experiences or heard about tractors and rolling over something or hitting someone. So in that sense, oh, I'm getting older, my vision, my neck. And what did I say earlier? No, 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 no. Let's go see what's going on. So very quickly, see on the picture on the right-hand side, that is an external GPS monitor that was purchased after the tractor was purchased and installed right here. So there's your blind spot. All right. So the first thing you do a blind spot map. So this picture on the left-hand side, you will see that the operator cannot see past the nose up to 6.5 feet. So if there's an object or a person within 6.5 feet of that nose cone, I'm not going to see you. So awareness. Where are my blind spots? And if you see in that 2 o'clock position, there's that bit of a thick blind spot. That's from the external monitor. Now, again, I said the job, what we could do to make it better. So you can see that GPS monitor was moved. They moved it to a different spot, removed the blind spot. Also, the red triangle with the black dot, that's the international symbol for blind spot. So awareness as well. So by doing a map or in a big picture, an assessment, a health and safety assessment, people know where they're at. And again, if you're listening to this talk, and I'm not in the workplace, Andrew, I don't have a health and safety committee. Well, if there are issues in your home or the work that you do around or something else, do one yourself. Do a health and safety review of the tasks that you're doing, find out where the issues are, and what can I do to either change the job or awareness of it. Okay, so there's 40 of those. Go have fun reading that. All right. So now I have another little section just to give you some concepts about injuries, and then I have some before and after examples to give you. All right. And I have no idea what time it is. Lisa, if I'm doing okay for time, let me
You have
roll.
lots of time, Andrew. You're doing
Oh, I
great.
do? Okay.
Yeah.
I always feel like I want to rush, but
No, don't rush. You're
I
doing
do
great.
have a lot to say. Okay, everyone. So injuries. There are different names over many years, decades, that these sprain and strain injuries have been called. So if you're doing any reading on the internet, any reading of government books or documents, you will come across repetitive strain injury, cumulative trauma disorder, musculoskeletal injuries is another big word. Nowadays, they want to call it musculoskeletal disorders. Boy, okay. I will leave this with you. There are real injuries that human beings get. All right. We do not go to our family doctor on day one and they go, oh, you have back pain. Actually, what you have is um, facet joint irritation of lumbar 4-5. I think most of you have never heard of that, but it's a common type of low back injury. But most of you will go to a family doctor or a physio, chiro, and just say you got low back pain. So then you go back to the workplace and you say, I don't know what I did yesterday, but I went to the doctor and I've got low back pain. Here are my restrictions. Okay. I just want to let that sink in. There are real injuries that human beings get, wrist, elbow, back, neck. Okay. We just live in a society where we give them these fluffy words. Okay. The other thing is I want to get across is you can't see these injuries very well. My world is not a broken bone cast, a cut bandage. Um, it's not a chemical burn bandage, etc., etc. It's not your ankle swells up this big. There is swelling in the wrist. You just don't see it very well. Swelling in the elbow, don't see it. Swelling in the back, you got pain shooting down your leg. Sciatica, for example, you got numbness tingling in your fingers. I can't see that pain. All right. That doesn't mean it's real. And of course, we're all different. So how much pain tolerance and whatever you go with what you go. My life is pretty easy because I deal with the prevention side. I get asked to go and look at a job. Is there a hazard and how much? And how do we do to make it better? I don't really get involved with the pain side very much, but I do know that it's how you feel the pain. So I could take a hammer, try to do a nail, hit my thumb. All of you go, Andrew, I feel your pain because we've all hit our thumb with a hammer. But 5 minutes later, you've forgotten about it. 5 minutes later, my thumb still hurts. Okay. So again, it's kind of subjective. What I see usually in workplaces, I see people in the lunchroom rubbing their elbow. I see people walking around in between repetitive jobs, shaking their hand out. I see people getting out of chairs really slow and kind of that limp. Oh, okay, I'm good now and start walking. All right. So just some basic concepts about those injuries. Okay. They have these fluffy names. They are real injuries. We're not that good at diagnosing them in that sense. All right. And then I have here on the bottom, it's when the work that you're doing is greater than what your body can handle, you get some wear and tear. Now, if there's too much wear and tear, then you get to the quote unquote injury. I can't raise my arm up without pain, or I don't have pain. Think about this one. I don't have pain, but I just can't functionally raise my arm up. Something is tight, something's blocking it, or I just don't have the strength. So in my world, sometimes it's a limitation on your motion or your body movement as opposed to pain. But most of the time it's pain. Now, I will say something about wear and tear. Wear and tear is not always a bad thing. It's just when it's too much. So, for example, for those that do a little bit of weight training or you have done weight training, you kind of know that pushing heavy weights actually tears muscle a little bit, right? And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, yes, when you're doing heavy weight training, you're actually tearing muscle a little bit. You're putting wear and tear on the body. Oops, I thought weight training was good for you, even as you go through rehabilitation or age. Well, if bench press is so good, why don't we do it every day? Why don't we do bench press 3 times a day, right? For an hour. All right. So the idea here is when there's too much wear and tear, that's when it leads to injury. All right. So you probably heard the expression, don't work out the same body part 2 days in a row. Why? You give that body part a chance to rest, adapt and get stronger. But if you do it every day, that's where wear and tear builds up. And then at some point, you wake up the next morning and you go, ow, what did I do yesterday? Or whether you go to reach and scratch the back of your head, you go, ow, that hurts. Or whether you do something at work and you go, ow, that hurts. What happened? What's going on? So a lot of these injuries are not Wednesday at 3:30. I reached, I bent over, I lifted, ow, that hurts. It is a lot to do with wear and tear throughout the day, and then it flares up. So either I don't know why or when, I'm just hurting. You wake up the next day, or either later that evening. That's my world. And that's mostly the world of these injuries. So again, we have to sort of backtrack and say, all right, so even though you bent over to pick up a pencil at 3:30 and you felt something pop in your back, that doesn't actually mean it was the pencil. That doesn't really mean it was at 3:30. What were you doing the previous 3, 4, 5 hours? Even what were you doing yesterday? So that's another question health and safety investigators ask is, okay, 3:30 on a Wednesday, this is what happened, but what were you doing previous? Was there wear and tear and it built up? Okay. Good stuff, eh? Hope you're writing this down. Oh, I have something for you to write down. The solution. The key solution to preventing this wear and tear buildup. Are you ready? Just like weightlifting, you only do weightlifting Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're only going to work Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Tuesday, Thursday off in the weekends, and a 2-hour lunch break. I don't hear laughter. Okay. All right. So in that case, because we work 8, 10, 12-hour days, we have to identify where there's too much wear and tear and what can we do to reduce it, minimize it, break it up. All right. So if you say, hey, what's ergonomics? Ergonomics is looking at jobs and how you do the job and such to minimize, reduce wear and tear. Can't really get it to zero, but we want to either minimize it or break it up. All right. So as we go through more examples, keep that in the back of your mind as well. All right. So I've said a lot of stuff. So let's keep moving on. WCB loves necks, backs, elbows, knees as a body part that can be due to work, overuse, and sprains and strains, but they don't really like heads and feet. But I'll ask you this. You're walking on concrete all day, you're standing on concrete all day, you have bad footwear or such, and you get sore feet. Does WCB as a compensable injury cover sore feet? No. But if I asked you, workers with back pain, do they also have sore feet, sore knees, sore hips? All of you will be going, yes, Andrew. For those with back pain, they probably also have sore feet, sore knees, sore hips. So when we do training of health and safety committee members in a workplace, we say, okay, you may have these WCB claims for necks, shoulders, backs, but let's survey our workers and see how many are saying anonymously, yes, my knees hurt, my feet hurt. So the effort should be on what about the footwear, the insoles, the anti-fatigue mat, standing on a footrest, what's going on with the knees, what's going on with the feet. If we can fix that, make it better somehow, I can pretty much guarantee your backs will feel better. Okay. And then the opposite, WCB up here, WCB doesn't really cover headaches, but if you're in an office environment and you got glare coming into your eyes or onto the screen, you're going to squint. So either the neck muscles get tight as you're squinting, or you're going to get headaches because of eye strain. You're going to be grumpy and sore and such at the end of the day. And for people who have old whiplash injuries or neck injuries, neck problems, whether it's work related or not, squinting, leaning is going to trigger it. And then you're going to have the migraines and the other neck problems. So by focusing on the whole picture in that sense, in this case, lighting, as opposed to my chair and I'm looking at a monitor. What about the glare in your eyes? And if you can fix that, you might fix neck pain and stuff like that. So do not, if you're on a committee at a workplace, don't do just WCB stuff. Look at everything that's going on. And I mentioned earlier doing like a worker survey. So we do that at the Occupational Center a lot, is we'll do like anonymous surveys of workers, and it really helps to figure out what's going on and such. Okay. Another topic here is day-to-day aches and pains through to chronic pain. All right, so we can have hours on this one slide, but I just want to make a couple of points. Everybody gets day-to-day aches and pains. People usually don't say anything, even though it hurts for a few days, goes away, comes back, hurts a few days. They still don't want to go to a healthcare professional or tell their committee or supervisor or manager. Only when it interferes with work or outside activities. Only when the pain gets to a point where you can't do the things that you want to do in work or outside work, does someone go to a healthcare professional or tell their committee member or something like that. There's also a bunch of people that work through pain for lots of reasons. People will just go through the pain. Hopefully it goes away. Sometimes it does, but a lot of times it sticks with you. And that's where people in the healthcare industry talk about chronic pain. You can actually take whatever is aggravating it away, but it's been so long and so much that it's still going to hurt. Okay. So, two things here. From a healthcare perspective, catching it early, very, very beneficial. Okay. Chiro massage, Pilates, acupuncture, heat, ice. What did I miss? Chiropractic, whatever. A little bit of stretching, heat, ice. Everything you can do when it's kind of caught early helps. It really is beneficial. Waiting until it's chronic pain and then deciding to go to a healthcare professional, you could go to a massage therapist, physiotherapist, and take Tylenol threes all in the same day, and you're still in pain. Okay, it's really hard to treat and help someone when it's in that chronic pain stage. So, point number one for everyone listening, try to give awareness and education to people that if you catch it early, it's easier to treat. Okay. That doesn't mean there's no hope. It's just there's a lot of more work to do on the healthcare professional side to help bring that down. And even then, they do their best, and it kind of goes into the world of pain management, right? So, as someone who does mostly prevention, I would like to see more workers and people getting treated earlier, way better. Now, also as an ergonomist, I will say small little changes early, very effective and cheap. Wait until someone's in chronic pain. You put thousands of dollars to make the job better, still in pain. Okay, so for anybody here that's in management or anybody on committees that want to make a point to management, it would be this. Small, cheap, easy little fixes work when you catch it early. Thousands of dollars to make it better in chronic pain. Thank you, but there'll still be chronic pain, more or less. All right. So there is a saying in health and safety called early reporting of signs and symptoms. All right. So if you can kind of wrap your head around that concept, uh, great. If you want to call me later next week and set up a time to say, Andrew, I'd like to sort of institute this in my workplace. How do I go about it without opening up the flood of claims? There are ways of doing that. Okay. But as a general concept, that's what I'd like to talk about. So very quickly, ergonomics is knowledge. It's knowledge about people and jobs and how to prevent injuries, how to reduce jobs that aggravate existing injuries, and how to accommodate people as well. Okay, so very quickly, 40 to 60% of a workplace's WCB claims are sprain, strains, overuse, overexertions. So it is a big chunk. So yes, we need to pay attention to it. There is a moral and legal duty to provide a safe workplace. That's where workplace safety health laws come into place. Um, there is a regulation on ergonomics, by the way. I'm not going to bore you with it, but it's there. And also good business from a workplace perspective. We do not want to lose skilled workers to injuries. And there's a lot of engineering that looks at ergonomics just from an engineering productivity quality perspective. Nothing to do with health and safety. Health and safety is a bonus. I wish everyone worked for companies that said, we're going to systematically, efficiently make jobs better because it's for good business. And health and safety is just a bonus of doing it. But anyways, if you were to read through those cost benefit, those case studies before and after, you will see what I'm talking about, how beneficial this stuff can be. But anyways, my last sort of lecture slide, then I'm going to show some pictures, is why pay attention to ergonomics. As I just said, it's the science. So there's the science of this, of fitting workplace conditions and job demands to the capabilities of the working population. So when I look at a job, I don't just see Andrew. I don't just see someone 5'8". Health and safety people are trained to look at a job and say, well, what if taller, shorter? What if big hands, little hands? What if long arms, short arms? What if they're kind of rookies, veterans, experience? So we are supposed to be looking at the job, not the person, but we're supposed to design jobs to fit a range of people. So very easily you can say fitting the task to the worker, or I want to make jobs better to minimize wear and tear on the body. Okay. So again, before I get into some pictures and stuff, I will say one more kind of story, an analogy of risks and hazards that I'd like to share with you. And feel free to use this if you're talking to somebody else. All right. Have you ever had someone say, I've been doing this job for a while. I don't have any problems. Have you ever had someone say, well, they got hurt. Am I going to get hurt? Or, or they got hurt and I've been doing this for 15 years. What's wrong with them in that sense? Or, well, anyways, here's my story. Okay. My talk. In order to try to explain hazards and risks to somebody else, I like to use the smoking analogy. Okay. And I'm going to pick on my friend here, Lisa, because she told a nice story about me earlier. So I'm going to pick on her now. If Lisa smoked a pack of cigarettes a day for 30 years, that's a lot, right? Can any scientist, researcher, doctor say she will get cancer of the lungs? Hopefully, most of you will say no. And that's the right answer. No researcher, doctor can say she will get lung cancer, even though a pack a day for 30 years. But if everyone on this presentation smoked a pack a day for 30 years, 70% of us will mess up our lungs. Some way, somehow, we will have an injury, disease, disorder. Can I say which ones of everyone? No. But the risk is 70%. The likelihood, the probability, the chance of it happening, the risk of injury is quite high. For those that are on health and safety committees and you've been taught to do a job hazard assessment, well, you'll like this. Is smoking a hazard? Yes. There are chemicals in it that cause cancer, so it is a hazard. How much? Well, a pack a day versus half a cigarette a week. All right. Duration of exposure is a fancy word for how long? 30 years versus I was 14. I tried it for 2 weeks. I didn't like it. I quit. Right. Severity, paper cut or mess up your lungs. Okay. So you do not want to mess up your lungs in that sense. Severity is quite high. Um, Probability of it happening, winning the lottery, 70% chance of it happening. All right. So then you put that all together and you say, well, what's the priority? Is this something that we need to stop right now? No smoking in the workplace now? Or do we gradually wean people off with wellness and well, back in the day, hey, when I was working at government in 1998, we had a smoking room. Then it went to smoking outside. Then it went to no smoking within 15 feet of the entrance. Then it went to, hey, we're going to put on our benefits plan smoking cessation programs to help people quit smoking. So, anyways, on that note, slow little bits over a long period of time. So, anyways, that's health and safety in a nutshell. And I'll spin this on ergonomics. If Andrew were to lift up something heavy from the floor, twist it over once every 15 minutes, can anyone say I will hurt my back? No. But sooner rather than later, will I hurt my back? Yes. There's a heavy weight, number of times, bent over, twisted from the floor repetitively over time, you will hurt your back. All right. So health and safety is like smoking, like lifting or doing repetitive work in that sense. Okay. Now I'm going to flip the coin and talk about people who can do really hard jobs for 15, 20 years and say, I don't have a problem. Leave me alone, go away. Well, congratulations. You're the 30% of people who could smoke like a chimney the whole life and never get lung cancer. Congratulations. Go play the lottery, right? So, yes, you can have really hard, tough jobs. You can have someone surviving it for a period of time and never have an injury, but that's not how health and safety works. Health and safety isn't about um, you and what you can or can't do. It's about the job and the hazards and the risk for the population of people. All right. So from a health and safety perspective, we look at workers as a population. But if you have an injury, then we're trying to accommodate you and your job restrictions. Or if you're in the home, what kind of accommodations help you with your daily life? All right. So just one more thing. There's a little bit of a nuance there. In health and safety world, prevention, risks and hazards, individual, it's all about you. All right. All right. So um, if you want to write this down, you can. If you want to come back to this recording later, great. This is sort of what I teach health and safety committee members to sort of figure out the root cause of the problem, but also brainstorm ideas. All right. So in the middle, you have the human. So let's just say back strain. And you put whatever you know about the person or yourself, what aggravates it, what makes it better, what makes it worse, what's going on, how much pain and all that. Then you ask your question, what is it about the equipment you're using, tools, equipment that's putting strain on the back? What is it about the layout position of machinery equipment, your desk, for example, the mouse, the layout of it, putting strain on the back? The environment, okay, indoor, outdoor, hot, cold, humid, dry. So I've seen a lot of offices that are dry and therefore you squint more and you get headaches and neck pain. So no, it's not the chair or the monitor, it's the lack of humidity. Okay, just as an example. Work system is how does work come to you? What do you have to do with it? How do you move it on to the next workstation? So in this case, I've seen example of scheduling, where in a factory, the scheduling wasn't balanced. It was all over the place. So workers would say, when it's balanced, we're good. When a scheduling person messes up and we got to go, 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 that's when we hurt. So it's not the equipment or the layout, it's the work system. And the last one is the method. How is it that people are doing tasks, whether it's in a workplace or in this case, some of you at home? All right. So if I gave 5 people a mop, I will get 9 or 10 different ways of mopping. All right. So that's the method. How is it that you're doing the work? All right. So like I said, this is kind of helpful when you're kind of collecting information about what the problem is and you put it all in one page, the root cause jumps out, but also the other side, solutions. Oh, I want to buy this. I'm going to change the equipment. Does that change the method or the layout? Or I'm going to do training and I'm going to change the method of how I do this task. Okay. Does that affect anything else? So, a couple examples. Now, Lisa, may I ask how much time do I have left?
So Andrew, it's about 2:06. So I would
Oh,
say, I
five
think,
minutes?
yeah, I think your information's valuable, right? So
Okay.
like 10 more
Yep.
minutes or so, and then we'll have a bit of a
Yep.
Q&A.
And questions. Okay, great. Because I just have some before and after or some other pictures now, just to kind of help you wrap your head around the idea of what you can do and such. So, smartphones, at the end of the day, there's no place to hold it up here or down here that isn't going to put strain on your neck or your hands. So we need to be aware of that. And as far as neck pain goes, we've all had experiences or you've heard of experiences of whiplash. So there's that 3:30 on a Wednesday, driving a car, someone hits you and that acute whiplash. But also you can warp the bones on the back of your neck by looking down at a smartphone for a long period of time. All right. So just to kind of give an idea of these injuries again, when it comes to neck, um, you know, I have, and I'm sure a lot of you have sort of slept funny on your pillow, and then you woke up and you got a muscle spasm or something like that. So when it comes to jobs, looking at a smartphone can aggravate an existing problem. It could be acute, it could be long term. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention in that sense. So is it the equipment? Is it the layout? There's a lot of different things. So from a solutions perspective, there's a you could have a smartphone holder. So now your hands are down and your neck is straight and you're looking at it. Obviously, voice to text versus having to text everything. So, or awareness of just breaking up that job, right? Not spending a lot of time on your phone. But anyways, when it comes to backs, I wanted to tell you the big ideas are to not round the lower back, keep things close to you, and be aware of how much upper body weight is hanging over the side. So in this case, you see this factory worker that's pulling a metal bin with metal parts with no wheels. Number one, they shouldn't be doing that in the first place. There's no safe work procedure for that except don't do it. But you can see how the back is rounded. You can see how the hands are very far away and low. So it would be nice to be closer, be higher, but at the end of the day, it's use a pallet jack or have somebody else move it. Okay. Um, when it comes to sitting now, yes, there are many issues with chairs that don't fit you properly, that don't provide support. But sometimes I want to let you know it's more than that. The chair could be okay, but look in this picture of a laboratory worker. Look at where the feet are. Look at where the knees are. So there's not enough space, and the feet are dangling, as I said earlier, under a footrest part. So it's not, I need a new chair. It's everything together. And in the bottom right-hand corner, you see someone that's twisting. So I will also leave you with some ideas about the back in the sense that twisting is probably the worst thing you can do. Whether you're lifting and twisting or whether you're sitting and twisting, that really puts a lot of torsion, shear strain on the lower back, specifically the discs. So you want to minimize that as much as possible. The good news is if you become more aware of it and you find a way to point your foot in the direction you need to go, you get rid of twisting. So instead of feet shoulder width apart, twist, if you can pick up or turn in your chair, but first you point your feet in the direction you need to go, you get rid of the twisting. And twisting is like a corkscrew effect on your lower back. Just as you turn a corkscrew, it drives the shaft down. Well, if you're sitting and twisting or standing and twisting, that's the same downward pressure in your back. So if everyone with back pain here, if you can at least try to be aware of twisting, whatever it is you're doing, and try to minimize it somehow, it'll help you. Okay. And then as far as generalities with the hands and elbows, it's about minimizing pressure in your wrist. So there's tendons, there's nerves, and in the muscles, that give you the power and strength in your hand. It's not from your hand muscles, it's from your forearm muscles. The more you squeeze, the more you feel these. And that kind of leads to problems like tennis elbow. So being aware of what you're doing with your hands and how you're working is quite important as well. So go back to those resources and learn about things you could do to put less strain on your hands. For example, the mopping one there. So I will say, as far as thinking about what you can do to make jobs better, tasks that you're doing easier on you, think of it a couple different ways. First one, can I provide something? Can I position what I'm working on better for me? Or can I even maintain tools and equipment? So, example number one, not having a straight knife, but a curved knife. So if you took a normal knife and went to cut up your salad tonight, you'll notice your wrist is bent when you go to cut. Now, if your job is a chef and you're doing this all day, that's one thing. If you have a bad elbow, bad wrist, bad shoulder, and even cutting up salad for your own supper tonight gives you a problem, well, look at how much you're bending your wrist when you go to cut. So there are tools out there with curved handles. The idea is when you go to use something, you have a straighter wrist as opposed to a bent wrist. So in this case, not too expensive, but there are curved knives. So whether it's a job or an accommodation at home. Pail handles. There's a lot of pail handles with wire handles that you kind of have a hook grip and it puts pressure in your fingers. It actually has been shown to put a lot of pressure in your wrist and your elbow. So I know whether it's Home Depot or Lee Valley, you can buy these little clips that clip onto pail handles that goes from your hand being a hook grip to a power grip, a C grip. That puts a lot less pressure on your wrist, your elbow, and your shoulder. So if someone is struggling with carrying things, specifically thin handle pails, this can help you out. Okay. Um, at home or at work, if you could get anything off the ground and up to knee or waist height, that'll very definitely help you with your back. Okay. So again, nothing on the floor. If you want to write that down, just look around your workplace or your home or whatever and say, what's on the floor and how do I get it up higher to make my back better? Tool maintenance, whether this case is a palm sander that you can see on the bottom right-hand corner, but whether it's a palm sander that gets maintenance, whether it's a knife that gets sharp, whether it's a tool that's old and rusty and you can't open it and close it anymore, the idea is maintaining equipment. Oh, hey, who remembers the old mice with the round ball at the bottom? If you're old and gray like me, you remember that? That gets gunked up and your mouse never really worked. So you'd have to clean it out and get it to work again. So again, another example of that sort of thing. Um, Here's some more equipment examples, and I threw this into the daycare example because earlier I said it's never one thing, it's a bunch of little things that add up. So if you said to me, why do daycare workers have so much back pain? It must be the lifting of the children. Well, that's one part. But also the tables they clean are low. The food they serve on the tables is low. They're always bending over to clean. They're always bending over to pick up things. So here is a reacher. Here is a dustpan with a handle. And here is a table cleaning tool that has a longer handle so that you're not bending over as much. So again, I'll repeat myself, a bunch of little things over the course of your day, little improvements end up at the end of the day being 2 thumbs up. Okay. Next, nice try for standing at home with a little ironing board and some books to bring the laptop a little higher. But not only is the obvious monitor way too low, and that will be harder on your neck, but look at the wrists. The hands are higher than the elbow. Do you remember one of my first examples was that? So I would expect the shoulders to be shrugging and tension at the end of the day. But I'm also want to tell you about a hazard I see a lot in office workers. It's called direct pressure hazard. That's leaning the soft part of your wrist or the palm of your hand or even your elbow right here on a hard, sharp edge. So whether it's a desk edge, whether it's a laptop edge, whether it's at the elbow or the wrist, over a period of time, that can irritate a nerve, that can cut off blood flow. We call that a direct pressure hazard. That is something that will give you numbness, tingling in your hands. So carpal tunnel syndrome is something that people know a lot about. Numbness, tingling in your fingers. It's not always pinching, gripping, bending your wrists. It's also direct pressure hazard. And I see that a lot in office environments. All right, so be aware of that, please, everyone. Okay, so just some quick things. I do see knee problems, which people say I'm either on ladders or stairs. But what I find is when you're coming downstairs, I do see a lot of workers on the very last step, step and turn. So they're putting their weight down on that one foot, and at the same time they want to turn to the right or to the left. I see that with forklift operators too. It's and truck drivers getting in and out of cabs. So if you have any knee pain and your watch in terms of going up and down steps, ladders, that final step down or the final step up, are you coming straight up, turning and moving, or are you stepping and turning at the same time? Because that's going to put, I'll just use this as my leg. You're putting a lot of torsion on your knee. Now, what did this workplace do? They said, well, that's kind of a bad habit, and it's hard to just say, hey, worker, stop doing that. So they changed the rail from one side to the other. So as you can see in the right-hand picture, the rail forced the worker to go straight and then turn, as opposed to down, put all their weight on their knee and turn at the same time. So there's habits and there's engineering things you can do to help workers unlearn bad habits as well. But also, I will say they changed the steps too because the rise and the run was all different. So imagine how irritating that is when you have a short step, big step, short step, big step. So they said, okay, we will design the stairs according to standards. So again, what did I say? The job and awareness education. Okay, so there's that one. Lighting. I haven't really talked too much about lighting, but very important. Whether it's industry or office, glare on the screen, having shadows. So the opposite of glare and too much lighting is shadows. When you have shadows, I've seen subtle body changes because of shadows, and you're not even aware that you're doing it. But again, you do this for 8 hours, you'll feel strain, discomfort. So lighting is important. There's a lot of ergonomics that evolve around that. Okay. This one, here's my story. Just because it happened Wednesday at 3:30 doesn't mean that's the root cause of the problem. You need to look at what the worker was doing the previous 3, 4, 5 hours. So in the top right-hand picture, that's the 3:30 on a Wednesday. I bent over, picked up something kind of light, hurt my back. All right, we need to get that higher. We need to do training, keep your back straight. But also, what were you doing the previous 3, 4, 5 hours? And you will see that that worker was sitting for hours on a stool, hunched over, doing paperwork. Then it was like, oh, the process is over. Jump up, start doing lifting. Your back is strained, fatigued, and then you do lifting. So in the bottom pictures, you will see not a super expensive chair, just an industrial chair, a little bit of backrest, a little bit of height adjustment. And they also went from sitting to, I'm going to do some lifting soon. So half an hour before, I will do some standing. So standing and writing, they had a little bit of a podium so they can stand straighter, still do their work. So you're not fatigued in the back. You have a sit, stand, and then you go do some lifting. Okay, that what I just said happens a lot. So be aware of that too. All right, everyone? Um, Housekeepers, janitorial maintenance, very high musculoskeletal sprain strains. So in this case, this is home care and you're scrubbing a tub or you're doing dishes. It's squeezing and reaching. So in this case, it had a bit of a longer handle. by having a longer handle, you didn't reach as far, and you went from a pinch grip to an open grip. So there's a lot of little things you can do. For those that are drivers, there's gel seat covers that can help. And for some people do a lot of off-road rural driving, and there's a lot of vibration coming off the steering wheel. Anti-fatigue gloves, not just any driving gloves, but anti-fatigue gloves while you're driving. Okay. I'll just wrap this up by saying awareness of what you're doing is important. Breaking up the job, there's a concept called job rotation. If you can break up the job for variety, that is awesome. Think about that. Stretching is nice too, but also stretching does what? Breaks up the job. So it allows you to not go hard, 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 hard for an hour and a half. Every once in a while, you stop, oh, take a little stretch and get back into it. That breaks up the job. Very good. All right. Knee pads, anti-vibration gloves are also helpful. So there's a lot of things you can do. And I will leave you with this because I know it's a burning question. If you're going to make 550 dozen pierogies, is that hard on my hands? No. So whether you're pinching pierogies or whether you're rolling the dough, you are okay. Making pierogies is healthy for you. All right, that's it. So thank you. I know I've gone a little bit over time, but like I said, I'm here for many years to come. So whether you have questions now or you think of something next week, I'm here to give me a call.